You've probably heard of the phrase, we're early, no one's heard about cryptocurrency yet, or wait until people hear about crypto. We're going to talk about it. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you are new, make sure you have subscribed, hit that bell button and leave a like. So in this video, I'm going to go through what it was like in 2016, what it was like for me buying cryptocurrency, the exposure to Bitcoin, and what was kind of around in terms of marketing. Not a lot, I'll be honest with you. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about what is actually happening in the global number speak, i.e. global audiences of some big things that are advertising cryptocurrency very, very obviously. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some facts and figures on how many people actually invest in cryptocurrency or stocks and shares and why that is important to understand. So let's start off with this. Make sure you understand what I'm talking about. There is a big difference between adoption of people understanding with these eyeballs, i.e. I know what Bitcoin is, I know what Ethereum is. However, I don't really want to invest. I do not want to invest. That is the element of this video, right? So in 2016, it was incredibly hard to invest in cryptocurrency. There was only really two places you would have been happy to put your money into back in those days, and I'm going to mention them now. Coinbase was one of them, and the other one was blockchain.com, in my opinion. There was others. There's a few little stories out there of people using Mt. Gox that went totally wrong, obviously. Using the likes of Bitstamp as well. There was other out there, but they weren't very well known, and they've now ceased to exist, which is kind of a problem in terms of some of my early transactions. They are no longer alive. They're dead. And they were dubious transactions. I did not like doing them, right? So when we start talking about that, that is one point. Adoption is key. In the last 6 years, I feel we have massively, massively progressed. From when I first bought cryptocurrency back in those days to now, chalk and cheese. People know what cryptocurrency is. Back in those days, you only knew about Bitcoin and stuff like that through online forums, online marketing rooms, understanding certain situations about multi-level marketing. All those kind of stuff that had a Bitcoin involved as a payment mechanism was kind of underground even in those days until things happened and changed in 2017, where a lot of things happened. It progressed. But even in those days, people didn't want to touch it. The likes of Stripe, for example, the payment mechanism, they had cryptocurrency and they removed it due to volatility. A lot of people removed their advertising rights from cryptocurrency back in 2018 because of the volatile market. They didn't want to touch or become a part of cryptocurrency because of that. Consumer demand, volatility, it wasn't there. When you add the volatility to that consumer demand, people didn't want to invest in cryptocurrencies. A lot of people were talking about, the futures market and utilizing pensions. That all vanished. And it created a bit of a bear market, obviously. So when we start thinking about volatility, bear markets, people didn't really want to put their name to cryptocurrency other than us lot who were actually in the game, teaching people how to invest safely and whatnot, which is an important point. So let's go onto the screen. I'm going to go through a lot of things that's happened in the last year. And is it because the cryptocurrency market is high? Is it because it is a bit more stable than it was in the past? But I want to say this now. Do not go to people and say we're early, because we're not. We really are not. We're a $2.5 trillion market now. We're not early. We were early. So let's start by looking at the start of the year. The FCA warned consumers about the risks of cryptocurrency advertising and high risk. This was on the 11th of the 1st, and it hasn't been updated since then. It should have been, but hey ho. Now, we're going to go back into October as well, where they started to put little bans on certain things. So they put a little bit of pressure on the likes of Binance and Bybit and other places like that in terms of maybe you shouldn't be using these services, guys. The FCA really wanted to get in and around it. And you can see here they're offering all this kind of stuff, which is why I've been recommending certain places where you can go which do have this FCA certificate, which makes it a little bit safer because there's a bit of insurance policy in there. But this is all in regards to advertising, right? Marketing. And when you now think, and you can imagine what's coming at the end of the video in terms of if you're in the UK, you'll know exactly what I'm going to say. We'll talk about that in a second, but things have totally changed. And this is where it gets interesting. The first big thing that I noticed the swing in, we're going to talk about the Premier League, but I want to talk about F1 first. F1 have welcomed this. And if you know F1, I'm a big fan. They've always been pretty out there with advertising. Remember it back in the olden days, it was all tobacco, right? They like the taboo stuff, right? Because it's money, right? And the first thing that you can strike is this. If you've watched an F1 race, you're probably hard not to miss this. Now, Crypto.com is the main global partner, right? This isn't small. This is everywhere. Every race you see a Crypto.com banner. They're also on the Aston Martin car, the Aston Martin F1 car. So you're going to get eyeballs from that brand and the whole entire audience, right? And this is just one of the partners. There's more, and I'm going to go through them. So when we start thinking about this, right, they now sponsor a whole race format, which they do 3 of. So the Crypto.com sprint race, essentially. It is everywhere. And there's no real kind of, you can't really not think about the price action of Crypto.com over the last year, essentially with adoption and what they've been doing, when you compare the fact that their audience eyeballs are now pretty big. They are pretty much everywhere. They have been the kings of marketing for a long, long time. And I've always said that. Just their customer service needs a little bit of work. Anyways, when we look about this is a monster partnership, right? And when we go a little bit to the right here, we've also got drivers that have got independent sponsorships with cryptocurrency coins. Now, this is Phantom. Blockchain platform Phantom partners with F1 driver Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly is a very, very well-known driver. He has it on his helmet. He has had that on for over the course of the season. He's looking to do a lot of NFTs and stuff utilizing this project. It is on the car as well. So you think about eyeballs, camera views, all over the place, right? The next one, Mclaren F1. You've probably heard of McLaren. Tezos. They have signed a multi-year deal with Tezos to do NFTs. They also have a Turkey Bitcoin exchange on their mirror, Bitchi, if you've seen that, which is also important to think what is happening with the Turkish lira right now. Just going to put that point out there. So again, another big cryptocurrency. They are not, these are not small coins. These are not small companies. They're quite big, well-known brands that are actually promoting pretty decent cryptocurrencies, technically. Now, talk about audiences. The viewership audience of F1 at the current state of play right now is between 433 million viewers. This is not including the likes of Netflix documentary series Drive to Survive as well. That is a big, successful show, which has got a lot of people into the world of F1. That is the thing. These cameras, these replays, these videos, these shots, these highlights, these YouTube videos talking about F1, utilizing all these shots and highlights and stuff, constantly showing, constantly seeing the world of Crypto.com, Phantom, Tezos, on all these cars. You got the Red Bull car that has got Cash App, which also utilizes Bitcoin. They've also got Oracle partnerships as well, which, as you know, Oracles are pretty important in a lot of partnerships with big cryptocurrency coins. Boys and girls, we are not early. We're a part of it, right? That is the point. And moving on to the next bit. Again, Crypto.com has recently just changed the arena name for, I believe, which one was this one for? The Staples Arena, or the Staples Center, sorry. And that's huge. It's gone from Staples to Crypto.com, which adapt with the times, so to speak. But even in the world of marketing, you can see here, Crypto.com, partnerships with, obviously, the Philadelphia 76, I can't even say it, Paris Saint-Germain, UFC, and obviously F1, right? Sorry, my dyslexia is getting in the way there. But hey ho, we move on. So that's Crypto.com, that is F1, that's obviously talking about a whole lot of things, but there's also more, which I want to talk about too. If you notice this, back in 2019, the first big cryptocurrency kind of into sport, in my opinion, was sports betting. This was 2019-2020 season where they had the Bitcoin logo on the side of the shirt for Watford. It's now the Dogecoin logo, which is kind of disappointing, but hey ho. This was the start of it, and as you know, Premier League and stuff like that's huge. But the next partnership, which you probably already know, is Etoro. Now, yes, they're a stock market broker, but on the side of the pitches and stuff, they've had a lot of advertising. you could probably see that buy Bitcoin here, all kinds of good stuff, right? Around the pitches, on the advertisement boards. You see here, Crystal Palace, Everton, Leicester, Southampton, and also West Brom and Burnley. You know, whenever a big club goes to them, you're going to see TV anyways. You're going to see a lot of, like, you know, loads of information thrown at you. And this is the thing. When we talk about global audiences for the Premier League, it's 3.2 billion. And that was from data from 2018, 2019, right? You could probably argue the Premier League's probably grown since then because a lot more new managers and new players have gone over there, which is kind of like, wow, that's huge when you think about it. And you're talking about TV highlights around the world globally. YouTube channels now taken off globally. The audience is there, boys and girls. If you go around the street, I can guarantee if you ask 100 people, do you know what Bitcoin is? There's a chance that probably more people will know about it than you realize. But maybe the question is, are you invested? That's the question that we need to ask. So moving on to Binance. Binance have been doing a lot of stuff as well. They are now a shirt sponsor of Porto FC. There's more as well, but on the side of their shirt, or the back of their shirts, I think on Porto, they have a Binance logo, which is ridiculous in itself. When you think about it as well, there's also got Lazio. Lazio have also become a main shirt sponsor. So I believe it's on the front of their shirt. I'm not sure, but either way, they're clubs. They're huge. And that's the thing. Binance, even though Binance have a little bit of a grey area and a red area in the UK, because the FCA have warned people against it, they are openly distributing, and I expect to see more of Binance on a lot more products in the future. Now, when we start talking about this as well, this is kind of interesting. This is like a Forbes article. Crypto advertisements are everywhere. The consumer isn't a moron. And that's true. It really is kind of, it's there to see. And there's a lot of things that have changed since these days of Silk Road, the dark web and stuff like that. People are starting to understand that there's monetary value here. The new style marketing of digital ventures, essentially digital stuff, has changed. And even when you look at like going back to F1, they've now recently got FTX on the Mercedes car, for example. That's huge. No one is scared to put stuff on their cars anymore, or onto their football clubs, or even onto, like, you know, American sports, or even in and around the world. It's crazy when you think about it, what has changed, and it has changed massively. And then we need to talk about this, the bad actors, and this is how it's totally flipped on its head. We're talking now the 18th of November, cryptocurrency advertisements on the London Tube are under investigation. Start of this video, I talked about the FCA warned you, but this is the thing. They went from warning you to putting an absolute dog shit coin on the London Tube and on buses all over the place, which is ridiculous when you think about it in itself. And that just shows you how relaxed they are, because they let it go on. They let it carry on for months on end. This wasn't just a quick thing. This was on for like a month or two. How? How can you go around with saying, Miss Doge, get Floki, right? It's ridiculous. And that just shows you where we've came in adoption, that they're willing to do it and allow it because it pays the bills, right? Cryptocurrency advertisement, right? It is a start of adoption. But this is where we need to talk about this last bit, right? How many people genuinely do invest, right? This is data from the stock market, but it's the same sort of mentality, right? Similar, right? But this is mainly in the UK. Only 33% of British people actually own shares. 2/3 of the population say they plan to buy them in the future, obviously probably when their monetary kind of wealth will change. But the one thing that kind of alarms me, that there's only 2.2 million people in the UK were subscribed to a stocks and shares ISA, which is like probably the safest place to kind of invest. There's only, what, 3% of the population that does it. I know that there's a lot of people that do invest in cryptocurrency, but there's a lot of people that do not. I don't know what I wouldn't like to guess what the number is, but the number that I want to actually know is more the fact of first time investors. I don't really care about. It's the longevity, the people that are in the market for a while. How many people are there? Because the one big red flag that I always say is when the market turns to shit, people vanish, and it does happen. It's happened this year in May. And this is another point here. This is an American bit. 1 in 10 people currently invest in cryptocurrencies, many for the ease of trading, and it is much easier to trade, certainly easier to open up versus a stockbroker account or a Forex account because of the KYC elements. It's much easier to do with cryptocurrency. But even still, right, even if it is 1 in 10, that's still decent, really, when you think about a financial market. You got to get it out of your head. Not everyone wants to invest in cryptocurrency. Not everyone wants to invest full stop. But the question that I've often proposed is actually, with cryptocurrency, it's about adoption. It's about brands utilizing it. It's about companies building on the blockchain and stuff like that, which will then allow consumers, customers, etc., to utilize the technology. Sometimes not everyone is going to be an investor, and that's the important point of this. But everyone will know about it. Everyone will see it. And then when they go from that stage into, I'm using cryptocurrency, yeah, cool, I'm using it for whatever I want to use it for, but I may not invest in it. That's the point. So not everyone is in the game. So get it out of your head, saying the term, wait until everyone knows about cryptocurrency, because it's absolute fucking bollocks, it really is. And just use your head. Wow. The Dow Jones is down 800 points today. I better leave this video at that. That's the state of the market today, boys and girls. Anyways, videos up here, whatever way I point, very, very soon, regarding profit taking. Do it.